of how the president's actually being perceived on his first 100 days. These two, Keith Olbermann and Rachel Maddow, are usually defined by many other members of the press, Fox, CNN, writers, bloggers, as being on the left, okay? I would say that, and I've mentioned this before, Keith Olbermann is a supporter of President Barack Obama. I don't know that I would necessarily say that he's liberal. I would say that he's probably center-left. Rachel Maddow is a liberal. She worked for Air America Radio. They're a liberal radio station. That was her whole goal, blah, blah, blah. So with that in mind, and we've seen these two talk about them before. What appears to be their assessment, they didn't necessarily mention 100 days, but they talked about the 100 days press conference. What is their assessment of Obama's first 100 days? What do they appear to be saying that they think about how he's done? Steve?
He's not going left enough. Like he's not going far enough in terms of prosecuting torture and things like that.
Yeah. They don't seem to be particularly upset. They're not as upset as, say, Bill O'Reilly is, okay, or some of the other, Glenn Beck's that we've seen, but they don't seem particularly thrilled either, okay? And what are the issues? What are they most concerned about? What did they sort of latch onto in Obama's speech that concerns them the most? What do they think he hasn't handled in this first 100 days?
The torture issue?
The torture issue, right? Now, we've talked about this before, and I'm going to play sort of devil's advocate here, because I never really say how I think on these issues anyway. But we've talked a lot about the perception of torture and the right and left sort of view on this issue, and it's probably the biggest philosophical issue that the Obama administration has dealt with in their first 100 days. Security issues and things like torture. What is the argument of the previous administration for torture? And bear in mind, we have to remember the word torture or enhanced interrogation can sort of be used interchangeably, okay? But what did the previous administration say as far as waterboarding and things like that?
In terms of domestic reform.
If they caught somebody, what was their attitude towards torture?
Been to abide by the Geneva Convention.
Their own interpretation of the Geneva Convention. Yes?
They said that the situation justified what they did with their enhanced interrogation.
Right. And I want everybody to understand this, because I think this is important, especially for people who whine and scream and complain, and people on the left who say, oh God, torture is wrong, it's evil. How many people here have actually read any of the Geneva Conventions? Probably next to nobody, right? And most of the viewing audience is that way as well. Do you know that some of the things in the Geneva Convention go so far as to say that you're not supposed to make prisoners uncomfortable? You're not supposed to embarrass them? You're not supposed to make them feel ashamed or anything else like that? How on earth are you supposed to get information from someone? It sounds nice, but it doesn't really work on some levels. Now, we could get into a whole philosophical debate about Walzer and just war and everything.